Everyone back at it again, and today we're doing another horror movie. We're no longer in January. Do things look any better? Yeah, this is really a good movie. So let's start talking about this 2020 The Lodge. The Lodge is a story of a gentleman named Richard who is going through a divorce from his wife named Laura, and him and his kids. He happens to have his kids one day when his ex-wife Lori does something very unfortunate, and he now has custody of the kids, and he's trying to ease them into his new girlfriend by the name of Grace. They go for a trip for a Christmas vacation to a lodge. Richard, the husband, has to go back to do his job, so it's basically Grace, the girlfriend and fiance, with these two kids named Jaeden and Maya. And I will say this about this movie: if you watch the trailer, it definitely gives you the vibe of a supernatural horror movie. It's not. This is more like a psychological thriller horror movie. Because that's all I want to say. Let me be very out forward with this movie. I'm going to give this a 9. I'll tell you the story now, because if you can, go into this movie as cold as possible. Try not to let anyone tell you tell you anything about the movie, really. Like I said, try to go into this movie as cold as a mother-in-law's kiss. But here's just some of the goods and bads, and I will try to keep it very brief because I really think a lot of people will enjoy this movie. About 10 minutes into this movie, you will compare it to another horror movie. I'm not going to say what horror movie it is, but as soon as you see it, you will know what horror movie. So this is going to be a really vague review. This is a very artsy movie. Like I said, it's a very psychological thriller. I like what they do with the sound design. When they cut the sound designs out, there are a couple of times where the sound design gets pumped very loud, and especially since you're going through this dynamic where there was like very soft music to no music, so all of a sudden this pounding songs or themes, it really shakes you up. The beginning of the movie shakes you up with how the movie starts. Lori's played by Alicia Silverstone, actually. She's in the movie for basically 5 minutes. So don't go into this movie expecting to see her. One of the stars of the movie is Jaeden, who we know as Young Bill from It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2. The other one, and he's actually kind of interesting because he has to play this stoward role where he's the older brother for Mia, and he's a very protective older brother. And actually there are times where he's forced to talk because Grace is obviously they're not connecting with her because of the loss they experienced at the beginning of the movie. It's kind of funny. There's moments where I almost expected him to stutter. And I don't know why. Maybe it is because I just saw him in It. I want to give huge shout out to Grace, played by Keough, who plays Grace, and she is basically the main character of the movie. She is a person who came from, she was the only surviving member of a cult when she was very young, and because of the situation that she's in, she goes through the pretty much the only story arc of the movie, as her past is colliding with what she wants her future to be. The kids happen to know that she was a cult and that her dad, apparently Richard, had done a book and she was the main person. We don't really know much about their connection other than the fact that he wrote a book on her and that they're in love, because they're hardly in the movie. The movie is mainly Grace and the two kids. And you kind of get this horror, you do get the spiritual horror vibe at the beginning of the movie, especially with this, I guess, with this doll. But then as the movie goes on, you quickly see that everything is kind of not what it seems. And the third act is a very big surprise on what's actually going on through the movie. The movie should be... I just saw Gretel and Hansel a couple weeks ago. And where that movie was only an hour and 20 minutes and it just dragged because it felt like nothing was happening. This movie has not as much happening, and it is about 20-30 minutes longer, but I was so intrigued by the story. I love the way the sound design was. Shot compositions are really good when most of the movie happens in this lodge. There are moments where they go out. And also the movie plays with your conventions and who exactly are you seeing this from and what exactly is happening. Where a movie like The Turning had that problem where it had a lot of fake out scenes, a lot of dream scenes. Here, you never really know. There is a really good, I don't want to say twist, but the third act definitely felt like it could end at almost any minute. And the movie definitely, at the end, the only thing, I thought it ended superbly. I also have to say the first thing I thought of when I saw this movie is I had to steal a line from Joker when Joker goes on the Murray Show and goes, "You get what you fucking deserve." I guarantee you when you see this movie and you get to the ending, that line is going to be coming through your head. When you see kind of the overall arc. I think this is a movie that will be helped by repeated viewing. I don't know if it's going to get it because it's a limited release. This past week it was only in one theater in New York, and apparently starting tomorrow it will be in a different theater. So I don't know how many people are going to be able to see it in theaters. I highly suggest if you are in the New York City area, you should see it. There's a lot of good set design work. There's one particular prop in the movie. Once again, I'm not going to say what it was because it will give away what movie it will make you think of. But as soon as I saw it, I knew exactly what movie it reminded me of. But it was used in a very different way than the other movie. This particular prop was used more like almost foreshadowing in one way. I think this movie will play a lot with expectations, especially if you do see the trailer. Like I said, I wanted to keep this as vague as possible. I might do a spoiler review with Jeff later this week, just because I think there's a lot of stuff to talk about in a that you can get away with in a spoiler review, especially since I'm telling you to go in cold as a banker's heart. Yeah, this is the Lodge. Like I said at the beginning, this is a 9 for me. It does play at times like a small indie movie. This almost feels like an A24 movie, but it's not. And by the time you get to the end and you realize what has happened, and it sets over you, especially how the movie ends, I think you will want to see it again. Not only that, I think you will really enjoy this movie. But yeah, The Lodge, I highly recommend it. If you're not in New York, as soon as it goes on VOD, I highly suggest you watch it. Give it a rent. I think you really will like it, especially if you're a horror fan. Once again, I think also some people might have issues with the whole cult aspect of it. But if that part doesn't bother you, and also what it says about religion, I think you'll have a really good blast. There are some nice scares in the movie. This is since it's a psychological movie, there really isn't any jump scares. There might be one. A lot of it is just mood, atmosphere, and the way the story is told out. So that's my review for The Lodge. If you happen to see it, please let me know. This is a movie I would really enjoy talking about. And plus, remember, you get what you fucking deserve.